Please welcome Rick Younger.
Do I look familiar to anybody?
Yeah.
Well, thank you, one of you that recognizes me. It's okay, the rest of you, if you don't, because I'm not really famous. I'm like almost famous, which is cool. Because, you know, I mean, I do the types of things where people think they've seen me, but they're like, I think I might have went to high school with you. I'm like, no, we didn't go to high school together. But, you know, it's cool because it's okay. Because actually my greatest claim to fame probably is being on the Today Show. I do this thing called Guys Tell All, and in case you haven't seen it, it's a panel of guys, and we answer questions from women. And it consists usually of a single guy, a couple of married guys, and then there's like a wild card guy. He might be single, he might be divorced, he might be married, you never know. So at one point we used to have Curtis Stone, who now he has his own show, you know, so he's like the first guy to make it big and go solo from the whole thing. Yeah, I've been on the whole time we've done the show. And I've started out as the black guy. Because, you know, you gotta have your black guy. And, you know, but usually if you're the black guy, you feel pretty secure because you're probably gonna be the black guy and you're like, okay, I got that spot locked down. Once they find it, you know, they're not even gonna go looking for another black guy. Until, well, then one day Chuck Nice showed up and I was like, oh my goodness, my black guy self-preservation instincts jumped in, like, oh my goodness, they don't like me that much. They're gonna get rid of me and they're gonna replace me with this other black guy. But they didn't. Fortunately, me and Chuck worked very well together, and so they kept me. And that was the first time I was afraid I was going to lose my job. The other time I thought I was going to lose my job was when I said the R word on the air on national television. You all look confused, like, what is the R word? That's exactly how I felt. I figured if you got a word that, you know, people dare not utter it, there should be a bigger movement behind it so that everybody knows what it is. So maybe they will not say it on national television with no censor or no delay. So they didn't even beep it. I said retarded on the air. Yeah, see, some of y'all like, oh, that word. Yeah, and see, the thing is that, you know, I'm a father. I have a 3-year-old son. I do not. I understand people who are parents of children with special needs and advocates for children with special needs, they don't like that word, and I can understand that. But in this particular instance, I was not belittling a child with special needs. The question was asked of us. Excuse me, Guys Tell All panel. I recently went out to the living room dressed in lingerie to invite my husband back for sex. He told me that he wanted to wait to see what happened at the end of The Apprentice. And I said, well, he might be retarded. People laughed. Kathy Lee laughed. And she said, oh, well, you're not supposed to say that on that. Like, thanks for laughing first. So, you know, I was like, oh, I didn't mean anything by it. You know, like I said, I was, you know, up until this point, I was not aware of how, you know, how egregious an act this was to use that word, although out of context. You know, I can understand that. So, went through the show, everything was cool. Then as we're leaving, Kathy Lee's like, all right, good luck. I was like, whoa, that's not good. So I get off the air and I go and I check my Twitter, and my Twitter is blowing up. Like, people are like, oh, I can't believe Rick Younger, I usually love you, but when you said the R word, oh my goodness, I cannot believe it. And all of a sudden, all these, you know, don't say the R word, Rick Younger said the R word, it's just coming at me, and I'm like, oh, my heart is starting to beat real fast. Like I said, I'm not famous yet. This is like my big chance. It's about to be ruined because I said the R word on air. So I was like, oh my goodness, I'm scared. And I was like, okay, what do I think people should do when they have a Twitter controversy? Because a lot of times people who are famous have Twitter controversies, and what they do is they wait and they confer with their people. See, not being famous, I didn't have no people to confer with. So I said, what do I wish other people would do? I said, you know what, I'm just gonna start apologizing to everybody I just taking direct act to whoever. Look, I didn't mean any harm by the whole thing. I'm sorry, I apologize. And it was like, all of a sudden, people were like, hey, thank you, Rick Younger. And they started heralding me. They're like, Rick Younger, class act, great guy. He apologized for saying the R word. Now all of a sudden people are starting to follow me. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is getting crazy. But meanwhile, there's still people who hate me. They're like, you know, people are hitting me on my website. I'm like, I never get people, you know, hit me for a gig. Don't hit me to tell me you hate me. They like, I can't believe you said that. Such hate dripping from your mouth. I was like, really? I was talking about a guy who wouldn't have sex with his wife. I don't think some hate was dripping from my mouth. You know, maybe, yes. But anyway, I'm like, okay. And then one person even wrote something saying, hey, you should know what it feels like to be called something you don't want to be called. You know, you and your people. Yeah, because, you know, black folks, we can't understand a concept unless you make a comparison to the N-word. And like, you know, it's like, because otherwise, you're like, I didn't, oh, yeah. So, I went on and I was like, you know, I dealt with those things. I usually post all of the videos from the Today Show on my website. That one, I didn't post. I'm like, if people want to find that, they're going to have to search for it. So, I didn't post it. But then it was like, I realized at the end of the day, I had more followers than I ever had on any time I'd ever been on the Today Show. So, I think the moral of that story is I need to figure out when I'm going to go back on and say the N-word. Because I think I could get way more followers if I did that. And that's my story.